In this video, we are going to set up routing setting to OpenVPN server. In the previous video, we selected NAT option. So this NAT option handling all the network translation for us. Therefore, we easily access to any of the EC2 instance in VPC, something like internal website like this. The problem is when we initiate the network connection the other way around, such as if the VPC client is web server, any of the EC2 instance in VPC cannot access to this site. This is because of NAT option. When this machine establishes the VPN connection, this OpenVPN server assigns the IP address from this CIDR block. Something like this. This IP address will be translated by this NAT option. Therefore, any of the EC2 instance in VPC cannot see this IP address from this VPC site. So as a result, they cannot access to this website. That's the problem. To address the problem, we are going to use routing option instead of NAT option. When we use the routing option, we can initiate the connection from VPC site to the VPC client. So that's what we are going to do in this video. First of all, I log into this machine and then access to this website through the VPN connection. Make sure we can open this page. Okay, so this is the client machine and then I open the browser and type the FQDN of the web server. Okay, so now we can access to the web server. So let's remote log into this web server. Right, so you can see this local host page is here. We can see from the client machine. Right, so that all works. So this connection, it works. So I'm going to try the other way around, which I try to access this website from this web server. First of all, I open the page from the client machine. Right, so this is the page of the client machine. So just make sure FQDN is correct. Right, it's the same page, and I copy this URL and open the page from the web server. Right, and hit enter. Right, so now we got the network connection error. This is because this web server doesn't know the IP address because of the NAT option of the OpenVPN. That's why we are going to set the routing option. So let's go to the management console of OpenVPN server. Okay, so now we are in the OpenVPN management console. First of all, let's go to the VPN setting. Okay, so we don't change those points. So the main part is this routing option. So as a default, we select a NAT. So this time we are going to select the routing. So let's click on that, right? And then scroll down. We don't change anything. So basically that's it on this page. So click Save Setting button. Then click Update Running Server button. Alright, so that's only change we need to do in the OpenVPN management page. The rest of the part is AWS management console. So let's move on. Okay, so let's make some change in the routing table. Right, so we have 3 routing tables. Let's check the network diagram. This time, this machine is private subnet. So I'm going to create a route from private subnet to VPN server. To do this, open the private routing table. So edit route button. And then let's create one more route. Alright, so this IP address, let's check the network diagram. We can see this is a cyber block we set up in the OpenVPN. And then select the target, which is instance. And then let's go select the VPN server. And then click save. So now you can see this root is active. If you have multiple root table, apply the same changes. Alright, so let's go to the EC2 page. Select the VPN server and select action, network, and then change source destination check. And simply enable this option and click save. Alright, so this is the next change. The last change is security group. Let's go back to the network diagram. Once we enable this routing option, this VPN client is going to use this IP address to communicate with any of the components in VPC. Therefore, we need to accept this IP address to the service we are going to use in this VPC, such as web service, remote desktop disk machine, and also authentication with Active Directory server. That's why we are going to make some changes in security group. So let's go to the security group pages. Let's start from the remote access. Okay, so we are going to change this inbound rule. Right. Simply we add the same entry with a different CIDR block. So this one is from the OpenVPN server. Right, and let's save. Okay, so back to the list of the security group. So next one is a Windows internal. Right, the same things I apply and then click save. Right, next one is a web server. Right, and also HTTPS. Right, we simply open the same port with a different CIDR block. So let's save this change. The last one is a security group for domain controller. So let's open that. As you can see, there's a many port we need to open. I don't want to manually input those records again, so I'm going to use a command line. Alright, so this is a command line we used to input those entries in the previous video. Simply we are going to change the decider block. Right, so you can see all the CIDR block has been changed like this. And we are going to run this command from the Windows machine. Alright, so let's copy the command and open the PowerShell and paste it. Okay, it's done. So let's go back to the AWS console and simply refresh the page. Right? If you sort by source, you can see a lot of entries are generated by the command line. Alright, so the security group has been done. Okay, so I'm going to re-establish the VPN connection. Okay, so open the remote desktop to access to the web server. Alright, so let's refresh the page. Alright, so we still have a problem. I think we missed one thing. Let's go back to the AWS Management Console and then go to the EC2 instance. I think we missed something on the VPN server. Alright, so this is because this EC2 instance initiates a connection to the port 80, but port 80 was not open in this VPN server. I think that this is the reason, so let's fix that. So let's go to the EC2 instance and then select the VPN server and then select the security and then change security group. At this moment, we just apply the VPN security group. So I'm going to apply to the web server and then add this security group and then save it. Alright, so let's check the setting of the security. When I go to the security tab of the VPN server, we apply the two security group. Now port 80 is open to the source CIDR block to this, right? Alright, so let's go back to the client machine. So simply we are going to refresh the page. Still have a problem. Okay, so let's do another troubleshooting. So let's ping to this client machine. Right, so this is a problem, I guess. This is because I de-established the VPN connection. Then I got a new IP address, which is 134. But this machine still believes this machine is 135. So we need to check the DNS record. So let's do that. I'm going to log in to the domain controller. Right, and then open the DNS setting. Right, so this is the machine. Now you can see this IP address and this IP address are different. Alright, so after some investigation, I noticed the problem was this IP address was changed, but this server does not update the DNS record. It took some time, so we just need to wait a bit. Right, so now we open the browser again. Alright, so now we can access to this page. Alright, so let's go back to the network diagram. Okay, so we successfully set up the routing option to the OpenVPN server. It allows all the EC2 instance in VPC access to the VPC client. Something like this. Even though you have a server component in your local site, EC2 instance in VPC site still can access to your server. That is a great option.